Hi there. I want to share something with you that I just learned in a workshop, and it's something I've known, but she just did it so beautifully, so succinctly. I hope I can replicate it for you adequately. This credit goes out to Mandy Morris. She's a motivational speaker, very young, but she's got it going on. Anyway, three things. She calls them her three P's because it's an alliteration. Everything starts with a P, but I love these. The first one is to focus on progress over perfection. And for those of you who have worked with me one-on-one, you know, one of the first things I tell you to do is take the word perfect out of your steno vocabulary, because there is no perfect. If we had to be perfect, then our passing would be 100%. It would not be 95 or 97.5. It would be 100%, which actually, once you're a working reporter out in the field, you kind of automatically gravitate toward, I want to aim for 100% accuracy, because that makes my editing easier, faster. That means I make more money. It's the way the math works. So progress versus perfection. You don't have to be perfect. You know what you have to be? You have to show up and do the work, and you just have to be good enough. Good enough is good enough. The second thing she talked about was being proactive versus being reactive. And this is a beautiful one actually for life in general, because because of our underlying program and programs running without most of which are without our conscious awareness or knowledge, but we react to things. It's just an automatic thing. It's a defense mechanism. But when somebody comes at you with something, you have a tendency to react instead of to respond. And so if you can be proactive as far as your conscious awareness of who you are, what your values are, where your boundaries are, things that solidify who you are, that is going to help you be proactive in your own life. And so you can move forward with determination and with intention. And it puts you in a position of you being the motivational active force in your own life, instead of life coming at you and having to be reactive. We want to respond. We don't want to react. And this goes for how you set up your practice, how you interact with attorneys, colleagues, teachers, all of that. To think of getting it all solid in your mind, in your being, to totally embrace who you are, what you are, and to accept all of that. You know, when I talk about the first step to any of this is awareness, because you can't fix the hole in the wall if you can't see the hole. And to become aware of all kinds of things that are going on in your life around you, and that includes your thought patterns, your belief systems, what you think is possible for you. All of that begins with awareness. Once you're aware, once you're not hiding from who you are or suppressing the parts of you that you don't like, once you stop doing that and you become aware of what's there, now you have the power to decide what works and what doesn't work, what you want to change and what you don't want to change, how you can accept where you are exactly in this moment, with total embracing and love. And that's where the movement starts, because before that moment, you're just fighting against the things you don't like, and you can't make progress from that point. The last thing, which is kind of my favorite, was what she called a pattern interrupt, the last P. So we've got progress versus perfection, being proactive versus being reactive, and then a pattern interrupt. What is a pattern interrupt? Basically, your programming that's running under the surface all the time, and there are many of them, some you know about, some you don't. It's those moments when you say, God, I always do that, or why am I thinking this again? It's a pattern. It's a program. And if you can become aware of those programs, then they don't control you anymore. They still may come up until you practice what you're going to do when they come up, until they don't any longer, until the new thinking process becomes the automatic thinking process. And then you're on your way to success. But when you see the thing coming up, when you feel the trigger in your body, when you're sitting before a test and you feel the anxiety, when you're going into a new job and you don't know who the attorneys are, what the case is about, or what's going to be expected of you, those moments of stepping into the unknown, you're going to have a biological, physiological, chemical reaction happening in your body. And there are lots of ways to interrupt that. Before taking a test, one of the best ways to interrupt the anxiety trigger is by breathing. In the moment, you can do that. In the moment, you can accept the feeling that is surging through your body instead of fighting it. Let it pass through you, because left to its own devices, a biochemical reaction in your body is only going to have 60 to 90-second shelf life, and then it will dissipate. But we fight it, and so it hangs on. And even as it's trying to dissipate, we think another thought that's of an equal opportunity for that thought, and it latches on, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And before we know it, we have just lived minutes, maybe sometimes hours, in that anxious feeling. Depression is the one that I think hangs on the most, because the depressive feelings just keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And it makes it so hard. You've got to deliberately, forcefully, in a commanding manner, think a better thought. But when you're in that low place, nothing feels like it's able to lift you out. And so you even resist thinking better thoughts. But better thoughts will beget better thoughts, will beget better thoughts. And pretty soon you're up higher than you were. And it is a vibratory scale. Depression slows down everything. Anxiety is higher than depression, but it's still not where you want to be to pass tests, to feel better, to excel and succeed in the way that you want to. You want to be up at a level that's as high as you can allow yourself to rise, to interrupt the pattern that is keeping you held down. And so some of the ways, besides thinking a better thought, some of the concrete ways are before a test. Yeah, the breathing. Meditating will work, but you got to have a practice of it before the moment that the trigger hits, so that you have a practiced way of knowing that there's a different place, a different state to be in, and to be able to know how to go there. That takes a whole lot more practice. So breathing is great. Essential oils will work. Any kind, any brand. The peppermint ones have a tendency, the minty ones have a tendency to bring you up. The citrus ones have a tendency to ground you and make you feel level and anchored. It doesn't matter. It's something that's going to introduce a new sensation into your physical being, which is going to interrupt the thought pattern, the feeling pattern, the biochemical reaction that's happening in your body. It doesn't matter what it is, it will interrupt it. Something else that will interrupt it is some people just have phrases. It's like, I'm consciously recognizing this pattern and I am choosing to do it differently. I am choosing to think a different thought. And I slapped my hands because that's a pattern interrupt also. It's the thing that interrupts where you are. I mean, why do you think hypnotists do that? It's a pattern interrupt. I want to make sure that wherever your brain is going, that you follow the track that we have set out together to get you the results that you want. And if I hear, and that if you're in person, you'll see a hypnotist or hypnotherapist tapping you on the forehead. It's a way of jolting your conscious mind for a moment so that your subconscious has a chance. And I love that, because this is the chattery part. It's loud, it's noisy, it's boisterous, it's kind of a bully. And your subconscious is very quiet, very, very below the surface. And it's not going to yell and scream. It's going to give you visions and images and feelings, nudges. It's the quiet knowing part of you. This is the very fearful fighting part of you. It wants to feel like it's in control, and it perceives everything as a threat and a problem. And this part of you, where we want to be in a relaxed state of alpha waves when you go into a test, this part of you is your knowing part. It is your solid, relaxed knowing that everything is okay, that you are safe, and there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to change who you are at your core level. So pattern interrupts. The one I like the best right before a test is to put on the most motivational music you can find. I don't care how corny it is, it doesn't matter. Something with a fast beat, something to get you up, something to rise the level of your conscious awareness, to get your blood moving. And it's what's called getting into a power pose. 2 minutes standing up on your feet with your arms in the air in a victory pose, or with your hands on your hips in a Superman, Superwoman kind of I'm in command. 2 minutes doing that, listening to any kind of motivational music for you, what gets you going, what makes you smile, what gets you happy, what pumps you up. Victory pose, 2 minutes, will change your whole aspect and attitude going into a test. There's a part of you that will feel like it has already accomplished the thing that you want to do. And that will pull you forward. It will literally drag you into success. There have been studies done on this. It's been proven. It's kind of amazing. And athletes use it all the time. Aside from visualizing the success of the endeavor they're just going into, they see all the way past the finish line to standing on the podium to receiving the medal. And that's the thing that will help you also. And yes, this is still a pattern interrupt, to tell your brain it's okay to imagine all the way what would be the podium and receiving the gold medal. Buying a new car, being out in the field, doing that 15th or 1500th job. And the gold medal is the accolades at a job well done, the paycheck, the money, the being booked again, people wanting you to have you be their reporter. That's the gold medal. Feeling and knowing you standing in your own power and authenticity, that's the gold medal. So progress versus perfection, being proactive versus reactive, and having the pattern interrupt that works for you to keep you on track to get you the results that you want. Give it a try. Give me some feedback. Love you all. Talk to you soon.